Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another semi-final of the Pacific Nations Cup. This one, Fiji taking on the Canadians. Now, Fiji are the biggest favourite of this whole round. We have already seen one underdog get themselves the victory in the USA. We did also see a good win for the Japanese. That game close at halftime up against the Tongans, but they are booked through to the final. Whoever wins this game will face Japan. What should be a very entertaining game. Looking through at the starting lineup. First of all, for the Fijians, it is a Ronnie Maui in the front row alongside Tavita Ikanaveri and Masaki Donge slotting in as the tight head prop. We've already seen quite a few props scoring throughout the semi-finals so far. We saw the big man Bentame Funa cross this try line. Takauchi of the Japanese as well. So be sure to keep an eye out for those two. Fijian props, Masaki Vothi will be the number 4 with Isoa Nasila slotting in at 5. Antonio Wanga alongside Ilya Thanakaivata and Viliami Mata. They make up the loose forward trio. Simeone Kuravuli and Caleb Muntz as the 19 combo. Tabo Val and Tamani Valu in the middle. Seta Tamani Valu having some of his best form as of late in this Pacific Nations Cup. Taniela Rakuro, he is the most likely to score in this contest. He has been on fire for the Fijians. Pure pace, pure power. And then Ravovo and Loganamasi, they will be the last two in the flying Fijian lineup. Looking through at the Canadians. Now, this Canada side, they managed to get themselves a win in the first match up against none other than the USA. From there, they were beaten by Japan, but they got something about them. They got that experience at the back of Shane O'Leary. He was a part of that 2019 Canadian World Cup side. Josiah Mora out on one wing, Ben out on the other, Flesh and Jones in the midfield, and then also Peter Nelson alongside Higgins as at 9 and 10. Combination in the front row, Martinez alongside Kutsia and Keith. Von Dedelston, I can't say his name. Von Dedelston. Well, hopefully he doesn't touch the ball. He's in the number 4 jersey with Botcha as the 5. Flesh as the number 6. Perry number 7. And then Matt Awaru, who was off the bench in the last game, gets a start in this match for the Canadians. We have got there, hi all, and Hamish says, Robert, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. You have also got the NZ Rioters here. We've got Ewan, and also with Salome, Biggie Boom, Aseta, Raphael, Savanatha, and also Bully is here as well, supporting the Fijians. The recent fixtures for these sides, the Fijians, they were able to get themselves 2 wins from 2 in the group stage fixtures. First match up against the Tongans, 32 points to 10. Second game just recently, actually last week, and the Fijians able to get the win 29 points to 15 over the Manu Samoans. For Japan, they had a big win over the Canadians in that round number 1. In fact, that was actually the other way around. That was the second game for the Canadians. And then the first win was up against the USA, 34 points to 20. And all I can say is it's very intriguing when these two sides face off because Canada, they're unpredictable. Fiji theoretically should win this game, but the altitude factor could be something that needs to be looked at for this game. I'm extremely proud of the boys. We'll see you on the 27th of September, says Ethan Hooker there. And we have the Canada women's team demolished Australia yesterday in the quarterfinal of that World Cup, next to versus New Zealand in that semi-final. So let's see if their men's team can step up to the next level. And the thing is, for the men's side, they have qualified for that Rugby World Cup, a massive achievement for the Canadians. They missed out on the last one. But, I don't know. Fiji, like I said, they should win. But at the same time, you just never know with this Fijian side. They've looked strong so far throughout the Pacific Nations Cup. A little bit ahead of Tonga and Samoa in terms of skill. But pressure is a wonderful thing. It could end up being quite a pressure situation out there for the Fijians as well. Of course, Canada will want to go out, show exactly what they can do. They're showing Mason Flesh in that number 6 jersey. Tavita Ikanaveri on screen as well. The Fijian captain would love nothing more than to make it back-to-back Pacific Nation Cup titles. We have got the Elijah said, thank you, welcome in. You are doing extremely well. We have got the national anthems of these two sides, and then we will be underway. Although, of course, the Fiji first for the Fijians before this match as well. Looking through at the benches for these two sides. For the Fijians, they have got Zariel Tongiotama, Hireti Hatit, and Samu Tawake making up the front row. Timo Maia-Navanua alongside Motokai Murray as their number 20. Wai Valetini and Georgie Nasova as the number 23. Now, anyone who's been watching the 7 side of things for the Fijians will be extremely excited to see what Georgie Nosova can do later on. In this game for the Canadians, they've got some great options too, a bit of experience mixed with youth, but I think it's going to be the replacement forwards who are so important in this one. Pryor and Young up front, depending on how well the scrums are going, they may look to make those switches slightly earlier, but like I said, it's exciting. This match, the Pacific Nations Cup semi-final, it is finally here. We've seen some great work from both of these sides throughout the competition. Of course, Fiji currently still undefeated, and if they were to win this game, they would go into that final up against the Japanese with that same record. But the national anthem of Fiji has been sung. Caleb Muntz, Simeone Kuravoli, that 9 and 10 combo. Could be working a dream out there. And Colorado. I'll also mention the sun has gone down. Earlier games, first of all, that match taking place between USA and Samoa. We did see the sun fully out across the whole field. Tonga versus Japan, it was slowly starting to set. And now it is only the stand that has to deal with a little bit of sun in the background. But it does look like a great afternoon or a great early evening for a game of rugby. We've got high from Robert there too, but a few Canadians making the trip here for this contest. A few Fijian fans in the stands as well. This is where Fiji, this is their big chance. They have to play well here, but Canada, this is a massive chance to show exactly what they can do and how far their rugby has been going in just the most recent times. I also want to say, when we started that last live stream between Japan and Canada, I don't know whether we got to hear the Canadian national anthem on that stream. We have just covered the one of their Pacific Nations Cup games. They are singing it with passion at the moment. The crowd getting behind them. Do let me know your score predictions for this game, ladies and gents. It is kicking off in the very near future. I was trying to work out what had happened to number 4's kit, but it was actually the fact that he had a scrum cap tucked into the back of his shorts. We have got thank you for this marathon weekend. So here's Robert. It's been a busy one. This is now, I believe, our 9th live stream throughout the last 48 hours or so. So it has been a pretty hectic time from 3:30 on Saturday, New Zealand time, when we started up with that Argentina versus Australia game. From there, we've seen massive games in the All Blacks and the Springboks. Cover the Women's World Cup quarterfinals, a Curry Cup semi-final, and now, of course, the 3 Pacific Nations games back-to-back alongside another quarterfinal of the World Cup. Now, Fiji setting up for the Fiji before we do get underway in this game. I did see that in terms of the odds, they are predicting Fiji to win this game by a total of 30 points or somewhere around there. Now, I think that Canada, with the altitude and also with a little bit of support from the crowd, may actually be a bit closer than that. Although it is expected that Fiji are supposed to be right up there and try and really push the Japanese in the final. Japan already in their first 3 games have scored over 150 points. Heard that correctly. 3 games, an average of over 50. A batsman in a game of cricket would be pretty happy with an average like that. For the Fijians, sitting with around that 25, 30 point margin, or 30 points in general per game. So they'll have a big statement win here and try and fire back after seeing the Japanese get themselves a huge win over the Tongans in the matchup just before. But they are showing the starting lineups once again. I think that the front row are going to have a field day out here for the Fijians. Roni Maui, Masaki Donge, Tavira Ikanaveri. Wouldn't be surprised if Fiji go to that rolling maul early on, try and test the Canadian defence, which is something that Japan did, and they were quite successful in doing, the Brave Blossoms. But Josiah Mora out on the wing. We talked about Georgie Nosova making his way off the bench for the Fijians later on in this game. The experience of O'Leary at the back. And then also that Nelson and Higgins combo. That 9 and 10 department, but it does look like Fiji will be kicking off this one. Crowd are slowly building. We see him there, Peter Nelson, and quite a bit of pressure on him in that game up against Japan. And Josiah Mora. He will fit right into the style that Fiji will want to play here of fast, hard-hitting, running rugby. See there, the referee is, I believe that is Oren Cross. He looks a bit like Peter O'Mahony. And I would have to guess that he is also an Irishman. Fiji are probably more used to tournament rugby than Canada, says NZ Right. That is true. Although I would think that Canada, due to where these guys play in the MLR, would also be used to playing in these type of altitude conditions of Colorado. This is really going to test the Fijian gas tank. But kicking off from left to right, the semi-final is underway of the Pacific Nations Cup, and Canada trying to go up for the ball. Fiji got it for a second, but then end up having a knock on. Now, Josiah Moore has actually played that ball from the ground, so it could have gone back for the scrum, but a huge collision there between Masaki Donge, Asoana Sila, and the big Canadian forwards. Now in the pocket, Peter Nelson looking for the clearing boot off his left, but it does not find touch. And instead now Fiji have got themselves the attacking chance from the halfway line. Kalaveti Ravovo looking to pierce his way through, but a great tackle made by Spencer Jones. Offload from Viliami Mata. And just a kick into touch there for Inia Tabuaval. Ran out of space. We have got them, man, do you ever sleep? Says Colour 1. I will be later on today. But yeah, it's been a hectic weekend. Like I said, 9 live streams or so. We've probably been live on the channel for about 19 hours by the time we finish this game of the last 48. It's definitely not a normal schedule, but we've made it work. There's a lot of rugby on, and we will be doing the same thing next weekend. Maybe not quite as many hours of being awake though. But back into the pocket. Again, going to be kicked downfield, this time by Shane O'Leary. Fiji claiming the ball outside of their 22. Porepati, Loganamasi playing from 15 today. Looks for the offload, manages to find it to Tabuaval. Now one more pass on the outside. Here comes a big dangerous run of Galaveti Ravovo. Offloaded on the inside to Teniela Rikuro. And that is one thing that already it seems evident that Fiji want to keep this ball moving around. Run there from Samu Tawake. Offloads it back. Lot of pressure there. That was almost playing the 9 from Kalambosha, but they will go back for the scrum. Canada, they need to bring that physicality, and it seems like at the moment they are doing that. Seta Tamani Valu, this is a shame. That man is down at the moment with some sort of injury. Gonna see the replay now. He tried to get that fend in, and then just gets crunched by Josiah Mora, who put all of his body weight down on the chest of Seta Tamani Valu. He's currently still on the sideline. Whether or not he does continue in this game, we will have to wait and see. I think, was the medic just trying to say that it's an HIA? I don't actually think it is, but that was possibly a... Okay, they're saying it's an HIA. I think this is strategic so that they can bring a player out onto the field while they check if Seta Tamani Valu is actually going to be okay. Yep, so I believe are going to take him off for an HIA. Now, I don't believe he got much head contact in that scenario, unless, of course, he whipped his head back. We're going to see the replay here, but I believe all the weight came down. Oh, no, actually, my apologies there. He did actually get really bad whiplash. I thought the first initial contact was all on the chest, but Seta Tamani Valu now, after 2 minutes in this game, is going to be taken off the field. Fiji favourites, is NZ right? Yeah, the Fijians come in as heavy favourites, $1.01, compared to Canada's $13 underdog status. So that is the biggest underdog of this Pacific Nations Cup round. And they are up against the defending champs, so possibly rightfully so. Fiji going for the big push, but not quite getting as much ball momentum as they'd like. Now passed on the outside. Chance here for the youngster, Georgi Nasova. He is out there now, probably about 55 minutes earlier than he expected to be. Josiah Mora looking for the steal in the breakdown. In fact, that time it was Matt Owaru. Now across to Vera Ikanaveri. Tackled in the middle of the field by Canada. Quick hands from Asoana Silasila. I think he actually accidentally shoveled that one on. But it didn't end up going too badly. Simeone Kuravoli pops it up to Masaki Donge. Tackled by Matt Owaru. Go Fiji, go, says Peniana. Oh, it was actually Peniana in there. Now Kuravoli back across to Davida Ikanaveri. Canada 20 to the Fijian 20. Oh, sorry, Canada 27. Fiji's 20 is the prediction. Masaki Donge shovels it back on again. Nice quick hands. And that is nicely done by Kalaveti Ravovo, dodging there. Masaki, Vofe, short side again. Little grabber in behind. Fiji have scored the first try, and it is Taniela Rikuro. Does get it in the 3rd minute of the Pacific Nations Cup semi-final, but a strategic little kick. And Taniela Rakuro, the first man to get there. And thank you for doing this rugby or marathon weekend, says Robert V. And we are going to be doing the same thing next week as well with plenty more games. Hopefully we'll be able to work out that schedule in the next kind of couple days or so. But this was a nice little grubber of mine from Kemu Valetini. He's only recently made his way onto the field. Well, this could be a blowout. There's potential for it to do that. Because Fiji were supposed to win by 30 points. And, they have started with a hiss and a roar here. At the early injury, Georgie Nasova, his first carry was impressive down the wing. But it just seems like Fiji have come into this game with a really good attacking mindset. Not willing to just play a game of test match rugby, but instead take it to the game and take it to the Canadians. Yeah, but Kemu Valetini, he is not in charge of the kicking tee. Instead it is, in fact, Kemu Valetini, I've just realised, is the starting 10. Caleb Muntz is not out there on the field, ladies and gents. I don't know what the injury status was there, but Valetini, not the man who made his way off the bench, instead actually starting in that 10 jersey. I never even noticed that Muntz wasn't out there. Maybe that is just because of how quick they have been playing early on here, Fiji. Taniela Rakuro celebrating that one. Now Fiji leads 7-0. Full power for now, says NZ Ryder. Maybe Fiji, this could be something to do with the altitude. They've decided, right, we're going to go out there, score as many tries early on as we can, so that then later on in the contest when we start to tire, we've got a bit of a lead to work with. It's going to be kicked high. Running after this one, nicely taken by Kalaveti Ravovo, who's already had about 5 touches in this game in the first 5 minutes. Kemu Valetini now slinging it away to the left-hand side. Tabuaval to the middle, and this physicality of this Fijian pack. Ilya Thanakaivata, that time with the ball. Masaki Nonge wrestled down 40 metres out from the line. Canada on the ball though. It's Matt Awaru, man who does very well in the 7 setup for the Canadians. He's a massive individual. He suits that number 8 jersey well. And he's managed to get the big steal there. Caleb Clark at 11, Shea Fiaki at 14, Will Jordan at 15, Jordy Barrett at 12. That we've got a good balance of safe hands and attacking under the high ball. Says Tanner, so who's your fly half? Out of curiosity. Because that's probably the big question at the moment for a lot of Kiwis is who do they go with in that 9 and 10 combination? I don't like this choice from Canada. I'll be honest. They are going for the 3 points. I get it. Some early points. Get you on the board. Have a bit of a spell. But Fiji are going to go for 7s here all day. Or at least it looks that way. So I just don't know if you're going to win games with 3-pointers. It's a bit similar to what we saw for Scotland in their game up against the English. Now, the good news for Nelson is it has gone over, so that will make the score 7-3. But yeah, Scotland took the early 3 points. Went on to lose that game about 40 points to 3. In fact, it might have even been more than that in the end for the Scots. So it's all well and good taking it in these semi-finals for any points that are available, but I just wonder whether or not that is when Canada maybe wanted to get some attacking going. Side of the opposition half, nicely taken out on the wing for Josiah Mora, and now Fiji. Really looking to get that steal on the breakdown, whoever is available, which is basically Bowden Barrett. Here's Tanner there. Kicker's going to go into touch. Of course, a lot of kickers have found quite a bit of success today just because of that extra altitude. Get that bit of extra distance on the kicks. Davida Ikanaveri now, the line out. Ready to fire this one in. Oh, it was close to being stolen there by the Canadians, but on the halfway line, Kemu Valetini, short ball, Tabuaval, offload from Ravovo, Tabuaval again, ball on the outside, Georgie Nasova cutting back inwards, wrestling with Josiah Mora. It's like we're watching a game on the World 7 circuit. Now off to the right-hand side, spin out of there from Viliami Mata. He's just sat down. I believe it was actually the Higgins number 9 option there for the Canadians, Tabuaval. Another big shot on him by Martinez. Kuravoli. Back across here. On to the left-hand side. Again, they're going to use this backline. It seems to be what the Fijians are doing so well. Another attack and run from Rakuru. Big clean out on O'Leary. Moving up to the 22-metre line. Davida Ikanaveri dropped down low, but we're seeing a lot of Canadians getting dropped on their backsides from the power of Fiji. Looping around, offload on the outside. Man with him, doesn't use him. Now he offloads. And it should be an easy run. And Ravovo giving it to his teammate on the inside. Unselfish from the big man. And it's Misake Vote who does end up getting the try. Kalaveti Ravovo. They may just check that pass beforehand to make sure that it was all right. Tonga and Samoa should watch and learn from this, says NZ Riot. But his first try of this match, Misake Vote and Kalaveti Ravovo, he just didn't care about scoring it himself. He saw that he had the big lock on the inside. Maybe he appreciated the work rate. That offload is incredible right there. Popping it back, trying to make it a slightly easier kick perhaps. Could be the logic behind it. Although Kemu Valetini, he absolutely nailed it from the sideline. But yeah, unselfish there from Kalaveti Ravovo. An NBC match between Canterbury and Tasman is Game of the Year cinema. See, I haven't watched it yet. I know the score now. But, I have to give it a look at some point. And then in future, I really wanted to cover it initially, but I also realised that I did need sleep at some point. Kemu Valetini gets the kick over from the sideline too, making the score 14-3 in favour of the Fijians. And hey, says Fortnite NBA, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Once again, I feel like Fiji scoring as quickly as they did, it just makes you realise that Canada shouldn't have taken the 3. We have got there, show the game, says Sebasoni. The game should be on Rugby Pass TV. Or at least I believe the other Pacific Nations Cup games have been, so that is a free option that you can check out. Now rolling this one back, Simeone Korovoli already 10 minutes through. In this match, go Fiji, go, says Krishnell. Korovoli sends it high, chasing after this was Rakuro, massive knock on from Shane O'Leary. They'll go back now for the scrum. He says Fortnite and NBA in there again. O'Leary. Last thing that Canada can afford is any sort of handling errors here and allowing the Fijians to just dominate possession. Already had some pretty brutal breakaway runs. Misake Vothi. He's not high up on the list of players who were supposed to score in this game, but perhaps Kalaveti Ravovo trying to play those or find those players don't normally get the chance. It is also on Sky Go. So here's Fortnite NBA. Now, putting the ball in here for Simeone Korovoli and the Fijians. Now, a lot of chemistry throughout this Fijian team as they have got many more Fijian raw players and an advantage now at scrum time. Almost sniping through was Simeone Korovoli. Now another offload, Rakuro up to the halfway line. Matawaru again gets over the ball and wins the penalty, but they'll go back for the initial scrum penalty in favour of Fiji. It's going to be against number 1, Kali Martinez. And the rolling maul of the Fijians can certainly be dangerous. Fiji is lower rated than Scotland. I think should be a few spots higher, maybe competitive with Argentina possibly. Says Jonathan. You see, the Fijians, when they play their best rugby, they can be very hard to beat and almost unstoppable. But it's the inconsistency of sometimes those poor games that hurt them. But this game, they've been on point from the get-go. They've come in with a plan how to counter this Canadian side, and it's just pretty much pure power. Now, thrown to the front, nicely done by Tavita Ikanaveri. Finds Simeone Korovoli, Taboa Val, 2-man tackle on him. And there's another advantage against the Canadians for the tackler not rolling away. Korovoli going to the short side now, using the big man at 6, Kitioni Salawa. In fact, this time it is actually a Tony Awanga in that 6 jersey. Canada told to get out of that breakdown. Another big attacking shot forward from Elia Thanakaivata. Taboa Val, Tavera Ikanaveri popping it up to a Soana Silasila. Korovoli again looping around, wide cutout pass to Georgie Nasova. He's dropped the ball. They'll go back now for another Fijian penalty. I don't think we're quite at that stage where the Canadians will get a warning, but we must be getting a little bit towards it. That's about their 4th or so penalty against them. Potential 2031 lock or look to the second row. Fabian Holland, Sam Derry, Zach Gallagher, Wallace Satiti, Peter Lakai. Says Dana too. Be a decent one. And to be fair, even maybe earlier than 2031, we could start to see a few more of those guys in there. Of course, Holland's in there at the moment. Satiti, the same, and Lakai in that squad. My most curious one is 2031. That's 6 years away. Is he going to be a new guy on the scene that maybe hasn't been discovered yet? Looks like a really painful one here, though, for Peter Nelson. Some sort of, I'd say, quad or hamstring injury. Looks like it is what he is dealing with. In fact, the way that he was holding it, it looked like hamstring. Canada may have to make the early switch here. Fiji team is better playing now compared to their earlier group games. Yeah, they seem well-rounded. If that makes sense. They're making some great decisions in terms of who to pass to, and this backline is swift. Maybe the Canadians aren't quite getting up quick enough to be able to shut it down, but you don't want to leave that space in behind, as we found out from that first Kimi Valetini try assist. All right, Lloyd is on the field. So both sides have lost one of their backs already, and we are still early on in this contest. He is still limping a little bit there for Peter Nelson. In fact, it's almost the outside of the leg. So I don't know whether or not it was the hamstring, but more so maybe like some sort of muscle up the side of the quad. You have a young Samoan guy who's only 22 at 6'8". He can come off the bench, play the Patrick Tuipulotu role. Says 10 or 2. Right. That one didn't stay in the field or play for Fiji. They tried to kick it right into the corner. And it will now be a 22 dropout. So that is one of the biggest mistakes that Fiji have made throughout this whole game. But it still means that they receive the ball from the Canadians for this 22 dropout. Now going long, nicely taken. Now, big collision in the middle of the field for Ilia Thanakoivata. Tackled by Matt Owaru. Now pick and go from the other number 8 in this game, Viliami Mata, slinging it back across to Nisova. Fidisa is his name, I think. Says 10 or 2. And Rafael Romero is in the chat. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Ronnie Maui. Tackled in the middle of the field. Now, Kimi Valetini, Masaki Donge. Nice quick hands from Fiji. They've hardly had to use their forwards in this contest in terms of in terms of breaking the line, but now finishing in the corner. It is the try for Antonio Wanga. And they are just breaking through easily for this Canadian defence. Something that I thought we would see in this game was the Fijian pick and goes round the side of the breakdown, 5 to 10 metres out from Canada's line. But every time Fiji's entered that 10-metre region, they have gone on to score in one phase or less. But just 2 players bumped off. Lloyd knew he was in trouble as soon as he got through there. And then the finish in a half. Nick Ben tried to make the tackle, but Antonio Wanga, not held, can reach out and does get the try. And Aaron Manger, he'll be happy there. Same with Mick Byrne in that Fijian coaching box. But 15 minutes into this game, and it is already domination for the Flying Fijians. We've got there Rafael from Venezuela and there as well. It is greatly appreciated you tuning in for this one. Kimi Valetini, what a kick that is. From the sideline yet again, gets it over. He likes that angle. Now makes the score 21-3 in favour of Fiji. Can I just look at that 3 points on the board for Canada and think that was the wrong choice? They had the opportunity inside a Fijians half, and they didn't make the most of it. Now, kick off here for O'Leary, who has taken over the place kicking from the halfway line. Simeone Kuravuli kicking downfield, using that altitude to his advantage. It goes into the hands of Nick Ben. Passes it across to Shane O'Leary. Pops it up now to Lloyd. He was almost through, but a great tackle by Masaki Vothi. Yeah, there from the referee. That sounded like he was asking for an offside, but he doesn't get it to money. Valu is back on the field for Georgie Nasova. That'll be another frustrating one for Canada. They had the ball for a few phases. Dominant Fiji couldn't have wished for a better start. Absolutely. The only thing you can criticise is the fact that when they tried to kick it into touch, it went dead. But other than that, Canada kicked it back to them and then they scored anyway. So, no, they're doing extremely well here, Fiji. Thought Canada would have had a bit more of an answer in this game, but currently It is relatively difficult. Now line out, throw it to Vera Canaveri. They go to the front again. It's something that Canada haven't quite worked out as of yet. It's been a good tactic to Boaval. Tackled by, it would have been Perry. Now a little pop pass up. Kuravuli again to the right-hand side. Masaki Vorthi. Now Kuravuli to Mani Valu. Trying to find his way through. In fact, this time now Kimu Velatini and the breakdowns. Josiah Mora lost his footing. Ikanaveri running into his opposite number in this game, DeWald Kutsia. Oh, good hands from Tabuaval. Goes for the cross kick, but it's stolen. And in fact, the penalty is awarded again here to Fiji. Okay, it sounds like they're saying here it is a TMO call. You can hear the ref here puffing heavily. It's been a hard tempo to be able to match. The ref is struggling. No wonder the Canadians are too. They're just finding the mark. It looks like they will kick this one towards the corner. Number 5 for Canada. It was a tackle off the ball. That is against Callum Bosher. Whoever gets the loss here, they will face up against the Tongans in the next round. Better kick from Fiji, sitting about 7 metres out from the line now. I hope Fiji can keep this momentum all throughout this game, says Flying Gamer. Or Flying Monster Gamer. Yeah, I mean, if they can match this tempo for the full 80 minutes, they will be an extremely hard side to beat. Not just in this game, but also in that final. Up against the Japanese. Just trying to suffocate them, although there's a knock-on from the Fijians. Fiji about to drop 60, says Robert T. I mean, we did see Japan get themselves a big winning margin in their last contest, so I feel like Fiji may be trying to make a statement back to them here. Say, listen, we can do the same thing. I mentioned how Japan in all of their games have scored 47 points, 57, and then more in that last game, so slowly increasing as the competition wears on. Now, scrum feed. Canada will have themselves the ball, but they won't have too many options here, and that is a big push from the Fijians. Ball is available now off the back. Viliami Mata pops it up to Kuravuli, sits down the opposition. 10 metres out from the line. This is about what I thought we would see from Fiji, using the forwards. It's going to be the advantage again here. Now, Simeone Kuravuli goes to Davida Ikanaveri. 5 metres out. Kuravuli again. Oh, that's a big attack and run, but it's put down from Kalaviti Ravovo. Big smile on his face, but it was well worked between the halfback and the winger. I'll go back for another penalty advantage. This is where Fiji may even consider just going with a quick tap. Either that, or perhaps even, if they're feeling adventurous, you could go for a scrum here. Will not be too far out from the opposition line. Oh, okay, this is an interesting choice. Fiji have taken the 3 points here, or at least they're going to take the 3 points. I wonder what the reasoning is behind that. Maybe it's to do with the tempo that this game's being played at. They want to slow it down a little bit and give themselves about a probably 1.5 minute breather. It's being played at altitude. Perhaps the lungs were just starting to hit them a bit there. Kim Velatini, he's been very safe off the kicking tee so far today. So far, so good by Fiji. So here's NZ Raya. They haven't done too much wrong throughout the early stages of this game. And of course, that is the way that they would like it to continue, the Fijians. Velatini. Oh, did he just miss? Oh, no. He did get it over. It looked close to missing, but it was the right-hand side. And for nothing else, make it a 3-score game. Says DJ Sheck taking the shot at the goal here. Says DJ, and also a chance to breathe and some oxygen. Yeah, I think it's probably down to that. Just feeling like you want a little bit of a spell. So it's a pretty good time to be able to do it. Now 22 minutes through. To be taken by, oh no, Kimu Velatini dropping the ball. Now the Canadians find themselves in a good position on the park. Just wonder if that was, once again, maybe the wrong choice. Don't know if threes are the way forward for these two sides. Of course, Fiji will feel they're in a confident enough position that it won't matter. They were to go for that 3 instead of the full option. Currently 22.5. They're just talking about that USA victory earlier on up against the Samoans. They have qualified for that Rugby World Cup in 2027. Samoa yet to qualify. They will play Chile next week. We're hoping to cover that one on the channel. As the live says, Eliza, so the live can be found, I believe, on Rugby Pass TV if you are in Fiji. Now off to the right-hand side. Chance here for the Canadians, getting driven backwards by the defensive Kalaveti Ravovo was Fletch. Now, big collision on Matt Owaru. And a still bizarre call given. Bruh, it's Fiji. They'll attack from anywhere, but I guess they're treating this game as a finals match. You need to take any points that are on offer. Maybe. Yeah, I guess that's probably the first. Oh, no, that's not the first kickable 3, is it, that Fiji have had as an option. Now, Lloyd lined up and tackled by Soa Nasilasila. Again, off to the right-hand side. Beautiful inside pass from the Canadians. Huge shot. 10 metres out from the try line. It'll be Martinez who has to play the halfback role. They've got the advantage against the Fijians. But Canada, they have accepted the fact that Fiji took on the 3 and they have embraced it with open arms. So they get that little bit closer to being able to score their first try of the match. Matt Owaru, nice backline here. Higgins firing it across. It's gone through the hands of the USA 14, the Canadian 14, Nick Ben. And, yeah, we got about the interesting choice from the Fijian, and they have put themselves under pressure here due to that drop ball of Kemu Valetini. Yeah, huge shots coming in. I believe it was Tabor Val. No, it wasn't. It was a Soana Silasila, but it was actually too late, which is why the advantage was in favour of the Canadians. Looks like he's struggling a bit to breathe there, Nick Ben, after taking the big shot. I guess Fiji just realised there's a lot of minutes to go. Can't keep the same momentum for that long, says NZ. Right, yeah, I think that altitude will come into it a little bit as to some of the decision-making throughout this 80 minutes. Now, ball goes in for the Wald Kutsia. The rolling maul of the Canadians is starting to open up here. Rolling around, but they've knocked it on. Just a miscommunication as the ball is being transferred back. And Fiji now have got themselves the scrum, so Canada's big chance possibly has been dwindled there. Like they're saying, the Fijians loving that one. Definitely the backs running in to say congratulations to the forwards. It's this game taking place at Mile High in Denver, Colorado. It is indeed. The games next week, they will be played in Utah. So both rounds of the later stages are in the USA. Now Fiji, they will just look to clear this ball, I would think. Go Fiji. Canada will drop by 4. Says Rosman. An Alfie lead for Fiji, though, says NZ. Right, yeah, they've still got their 21-point lead, so it's not exactly a bad thing if they can take some time out of this game. It will be now the penalty to Fiji due to a collapsing scrum of Canada. They get to get that ball away from their own goal line. Currently sitting about 10 metres out, but this kick downfield will definitely send it. Kemu Valetini, he's been decent today so far. Wasn't supposed to be in the initial starting lineup. It was going to be Caleb Muntz, but he is not there for this game. Canada just getting told by the referee to open it up, and that was, I believe, the Fijian tried to take that one quickly at line-out time. Form the line-out first if you want to go quickly, says the referee, so I don't think Canada will fall for it twice in a row. Thrown in by Tavita Ikanaveri, and another advantage for Fiji. Nice step from Simeone Kuravuli. Puts the little chip in behind. No one back there, but an awkward bouncing ball. I'll go back again. This has to be close to Canada's last warning. Just didn't get the bounce. Unlucky there for Kuravuli. Yeah, seemed to try and avoid him, didn't it? It went sideways. But it was the right idea. There was a lot of space in behind. And he just gets the side of the ball. Fiji well on top here, says DJ Shack. Yeah, they are firmly in control. If they can stop Canada from scoring any tries before the halftime break, I don't like Canada's chances of being able to come back into this game. They were $13 underdogs at the start of this game. They are now $51 underdogs here. So unless we see some sort of monumental collapse from the Fijians, they should be able to make their way through that Pacific Nations Cup final. It's taking place next weekend. We are going to be covering it on the channel. It is a Sunday afternoon game for that one. Now just rolling forward. Tavita Ikanaveri breaking through one challenge. Kuravuli going away to the left-hand side. Saya Mora. In fact, it was Matt Awaru that time in the breakdown. I'm getting my 7 stars confused now. Back line, Simeone Kuravuli passes on the outside. Georgie Nasova. There is no way he should get over there, but Kalaveti Ravovo does. And that is another try here for Fiji. Rakuro hitting the ground hard. I think he's just getting checked on there by his Fijian teammate who helps him back up to his feet. But Ravovo, they may just check this to make sure that this ball was grounded. That he wasn't in touch first. Again, Fiji just so dangerous in the counter-attack. Just a nice pass to Georgie Nasova, who was all but over himself. And then Kalaveti Ravovo was there. Ugh, that was an ugly bend of the leg for Rakuro. No wonder he stayed down for a bit longer. Gonna see it here. What happens to his leg? That's the ankle for Rakuro. That could be quite serious. But he's all right. He looks like he's back on his feet in the background. Kimmo Valetini striking the ball. Oh, he's just bloody good off the kicking tee, isn't he? It's going both ways. Getting it to curl right and curl left, but that one goes over. It was 23 from Fiji. Smart play from him to resist the temptation of reaching out to score. That was Georgie Nasova. He's the man from the 7th Circuit. Normally does extremely well for the Fijians. And Canada would need to activate their underdog spirit card. If they haven't already, says NZ Riot. It's going to take a lot here. Canada just walking up to halfway now. I feel like Fiji have sucked all that air out of the Canadian lungs. 31-3 though. The way that this one sits currently. You're showing the altitude, 5,280 feet. So that will hurt the lungs later on in this game as well. Not just the big hits that we're seeing between the sides. Kalaveti Ravovo. It's back into the hands of Kuravuli, who looks towards the touchline. Can't quite find it. Nelson's back out on the field. So I'm not too sure what happened to him, but he did have that leg injury. He doesn't look like he's running at 100% here. In fact, he's struggling to jog. I'm not sure how smart of a move that is from the Canadians to bring him back, seeing as if there's some sort of slight injury, you're really better off having him next week. Now Fiji back across to the left-hand side. Wide cut out pass into the hands again of Georgie Nasova from Punipati. Looking at Mussy, those two have had 7's experience to get it. There's Georgie Nasova almost through. And a brilliant start. That looked like Samu Tawake through the side of the breakdown. Wamasaki Donge popping it up again now onto the outside. Fiji trying the step with Ravovo. Tackled by O'Leary. Rush defence from Canada. They've changed their tactic a little bit here. Trying to get up there in the face of the Fijians and stop any chance of that quick fire backline getting underway. Now another step from Elia Thanakaivata, but with every carry, there are more meters that are being made here by Fiji. Kimmo Valetini trying to bump off Kutsia. Off to the left, Kuravoli. The short side for Ponepati Loganamasi. Kuravoli again. It's just good face play. There's some huge contacts out there. You can hear it through the ref's microphone. Beautiful offload from Tavita Ikanaveri, who's involved in it again. Now a little no-look pass over the shoulder from Fiji. They're getting too fancy here. They start losing meters. Arakuro, tackled by Matt Awaru. Tried to hold him up, but they managed to get it away again. A run from Asoa Nasilasila moving up to 22 meters out. Boavau. Now a massive run. Samu Tawake. He's got pace and he scores it between the posts. The big man is the Lucy Prob. He looks like he's exhausted. He's possibly just blown both the hammies, but he finishes it off for, I think I said Samu Tawake. I did mean Aroni Maui in that case as well, but Masaki Donge showing some skills. Did I say Samu Tawake or did I say Aroni Maui? I don't even remember, but either way it is Maui who has scored that one between the sticks for the Fijians. Protects that ball very nicely too. Made sure that the man coming across, Samu Tawake, no, it was Aroni Maui. I said the wrong one. No, it was Maui, says DJ. Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah, I've got there, very nice Fiji, says NZ Riot. That is a very strong finish from a very strong man in the front row for the Fijians, and they are just, at this point in time, they are schooling the Canadians and how to keep that ball alive. Kimo Valentini adds the extra 2, 38 points to 3. We've only been going for 33 minutes. Fiji, and that's a great run. He goes through his opposite number, Kali Martinez. And got to love a good props try. You do, and it looked like he never even saw the guy to his left. In terms of the Canadian defender, he was too busy focused on the guys on the right, and the Canadians still couldn't quite catch him. But yeah, he looks pretty tired now, Ronnie Maui. He's got the hands on the hips, taking in some deep breaths. You can see there that the coaches loved it too, but a knock-on from Fiji, that is something they will not love. Canada now with the ball in hand going off to the right-hand side. Nice quick shoveling on from the Canadians out wide to Nick Ben. And what the scoreboard? Yeah, the scoreboard's crazy at the moment. Canada just not quite in this one. And Fiji, they're just showing that they want it more. I want that final up against the Japanese just like it was last year. Now a step from Shane O'Leary. That's nice work from the veteran fullback. Higgins again, back to the right-hand side. Kutsia now off to Owaru. Tackled by Masaki Donge. Now Nelson. One more pass on the outside into the wide channels. Nick Ben, and he has just wrestled into touch. Mauled is probably the better word for it. Now it's going to be the line out for the Fijians, 20 metres out from the line. Canada just won't know what's hit them here. This is about as physical of a performance as I think we've seen from Fiji in quite some time. So I don't know whether or not they don't like Canada or what the go is, but they're just hitting them with absolutely everything they've got. Oh, hang on. Time is off. They're checking this one. Maybe a bit too high from the Fijians there. Right. Waiting to hear. What is the decision going to be? Matt Awaru. Oh, it is a bit high from Masaki Donge. Hits him in the head, but there is enough of a duck there for Masaki that they may just say a yellow card, although there's upwards movement. This might be bad here. This might just be the yellow or be minimum sin binning for Donge. Checking here for mitigation. Looks like he rises up into it, and that can be a little bit of danger because if a referee looks at that and says, look, you're trying to hit him high, you can find yourself going to the bin for more than just the 10. Fiji could probably beat us. I'll go for the 10 plus on report. And where can I watch it live, says Kithioni? I believe it is on Rugby Pass TV for a lot of locations around the world as the free-to-air option. But it will be the yellow card, and it is on report. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets upgraded. I think Masaki Donge will be a little bit disappointed. Gets sent off the field there. That might be the last of his day. We have there. Who do you see winning the Rugby Championship now? I think that South Africa. I know that they've still got a couple tough games up against the Argentines, but I'll put them in a pretty good position at the moment to go on and finish off this competition. Definitely if New Zealand and Australia go 1-1. I feel like that's where maybe the South Africans get it. And now kicking this one towards the touchline here for Nelson. That one does go out. Just 5 metres out from the line. Canada with the World Kutsia. Masaki Donge. Looks like he's still catching his breath. He's probably one of the happier players out there at the moment because he does get a bit of a spell before heading into the second half. And now throwing that ball in, Canada. And it's the penalty to Fiji. Obstruction in the line out. That's just the last thing that the Canadians needed, Canada. They get it all wrong at line out yet again, says DJ Shack, or Argentina 2-0. Here's Highlanders fan. Will now be another reprieve for the Fijians who were just out from their own goal line. It's not for the first time in this match either that there has been a bit of a mistake coming from the opposition. That's a wood duck penalty, that one. I'm being kicked to the touch. Fiji. Still plenty of energy left in this contest. Tavita Ikanaveri, still plenty of time left for him to be able to get himself a try. As in the Rugby World Cup 2027, isn't there a round of 16? I believe so. So there's 24 teams, and then there will be that round of 16 as an option now. Chasing after it. Asawa Nasilasila showing off a bit of extra pace. Now, Nelson, this is dangerous because with a sore leg, you got a Fijian forward back running over the top of you. There was just a knock on from Ilya Thadakaivata. He wanted the try. Fiji not quite on the mark. So it's going to be the side entry on the ground. Go, Jiju. Says Piniana. Right. What do Fiji want to do? They either will take the kick at the 3 or they'll go for the corner. And this time it looks like the corner is the one that they are after. So like how many groups? I believe there will be 6 groups of the World Cup. I think. Oh. But if there's a round of 16, how does that work? There might be other top qualifiers maybe and some third place teams or something. I haven't actually looked at the format yet, but I will definitely have to do that a bit closer to the World Cup. But I know that the top 6 are all jockeying for that spot because it does get you in a position where you have a good seed. Yeah, 4 third place teams make it. Big collision there at the rolling maul, but Tavita Ikanaveri just waiting for that chance to reach out and get on the try line. But now, though, it's not moving. Well defended from Canada. In fact, that didn't even move an inch. Now to Buaval. 10 metres out from the line now for Fiji. Looking to use their forwards again with the Roni Maui. They'll take a bit more caution when that man has the ball in hand now. Now Sora Nasilasila. For a volley. Back across to the right-hand side. I kind of hoped this would be a closer contest, but oh well. Well done, Fiji. Go Fiji. Says ANZ Riot. Is this basically the Fijian draw team? A lot of Fijian draw players in there, plus a couple other internationals joining in as well. Uh-oh. There's no foul play, but there is an injury on the ground here for, I think it is Tabua Val. They're just going to make sure that he is all right. That's much better defence by Canada, says DJ Shack. Yeah, the unfortunate nature of it is they've just probably left it too late in terms of this better defence. They are down by 35 points at the moment. And just talking about Tabua Val and that collision. It's just taking some deep breaths here and trying to regain that composure. We've already seen Seta Tamani Valu make his way from the field. That was for Georgie Nosova. They're saying it will be Tavita Ikanaveri and Fiji's scrum. Right, the water has been called off. Just 2 minutes. In fact, less than that. Just 1 minute remaining of this first half. At the moment, Fiji in a dominant position. They don't really look like going anywhere soon here, Fiji. It's like they're just going to keep it on. Making good decisions on attack. And this could be another one here. They could bring up the 40-plus points before even reaching half-time. Looks like Viliami Mata is going to be subbed off the field now. A bit of an early switch for the Fijians. Oh no, my apologies. He has actually taken off because they needed the tight head prop to be able to take part in the scrum. Now Kuravuli. Oh, it's a bit of an early push from both teams. The referee is just going to get some clarification and make sure both sides know exactly what is expected. Obviously, with Fiji down to 14, Bill Mata has got to take one for the team. Been subbed off so that they can field a full front row. So here's DJ Shack. Oh, and there is that siren for half-time. The thing is, this Fijian scrum, they've only got the 7, but I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to try and use Ilia Thunakaivata off the back. If they do win it, they get the free kick, so they don't even need to. Now they'll use Ilia Thunakaivata, getting close to the line, 5 metres out. Samitawaki told to use it, goes across to Heriti, or in fact, sorry, Ronnie Maui. Tackle was made. Harry told to get out of it. Kuravuli again going across. Canada told once again not to touch that ball. Across now. Just a good build up for Fiji. Simeone Kuravuli tries a bit of a sniping run. 1 metre short. Referee says the ball is still there and available. And now very close for Fiji. Turn on to the back there. It's still not quite held up. Canada either need Fiji to get held up just short. And that is again just out from the line. Pick and go 1 metre short again. Kuravuli back across. Kimu Valentini. Now they start to sling the ball wide in the hands of Daniela Rukuro. He goes straight through. What a classy run from him. And he gets another one. Now, what a half by Fiji in a class above. Yeah, it's been a tremendous half for the Flying Fijians. And to finish it on a high and get another try here is absolutely massive for them. Daniela Rukuro, he's got himself 2 tries tonight. Looks like, I want to say that Simeone Kuravuli, who was down for a little bit longer. The bounce pass to Rukuro. And then dives over. He's just got so much pace. And the Bunny Ears celebration from Daniela Rukuro as well. And Canada have got some soul searching to do, even with a numerical advantage. They're getting hammered. You should be tired, really. I certainly am. I was feeling the tiredness probably about, I'd say, 8 hours ago. We are still up. Maybe even longer than 8, to be fair. Kimi Valentini bringing it back around, but not quite enough. So that's going to make it halftime now. 43-3 in favour of Fiji. That is a brilliant first half. Their best of the Pacific Nations Cup. And they've also scored more points in this half than any of their full-time scores in the Pacific Nation Cup as well. So Canada are going to need a big 40 minutes in the second half. In fact, I don't even know if you'd say there's any chance for them in this game now. Look at that chat. Where do I pirate this on Paul? I'm pretty sure it's available on Rugby Pass TV, which is a free-to-air option. Of course, it depends on where you are in the world. Some locations have it available, some don't. But yeah, I definitely recommend checking that out. As if it is free, then you've got your perfect way being able to watch for this competition. But it's a high-scoring one for one of these two sides. Canada did take that 3 points early. Don't still think that that was a good choice. And of course, it's very easy to say now that they're sitting where they are. But I think that they would regret that choice of going for what seemed like the right option. What locations do you reckon have it? I've got a VPN, says Charlie. One moment. I'll have a look. I'll try and help you out. So I don't think they'll have it in New Zealand because we have got a broadcaster. Who wouldn't have it? Maybe like, I want to say, well, Fiji might not have it. Although it might be on Sky Pacific in Fiji. You're a legend, thank you. Says Charlie. Trying to think of where it would actually be available. And now I can't remember my password for Rugby Pass TV. Wasn't that one. This one? Please be, nah, it's not that one. This one? Got it eventually. Try number 4. Where are Canada lacking most? I think it's just that physicality in terms of being able to match Fiji. And Fiji have been playing incredibly throughout this game, though. They absolutely cannot take anything away from what they've been able to do there. Yeah, so it's not available here in New Zealand, but I would say maybe Australia could have an option of being able to watch it on Rugby Pass TV. We got the more than one thing, says NZ Riot. And Valentini missed one kick. I believe, yeah, just the one kick missed from Valentini today. Everything else, he has been very strong off the tee. And what about that line break from Tony Owanga? Insane run from the big man. In fact, we've seen multiple of those type of runs from Fiji in this game. It just seems to be if there's the open space available, they will go for it. And then also, I mean, the big men up front have also been able to get some stuff going. We saw it for Ronnie Maui. Yes, it's Sky Pacific and Fiji One TV channel. And Fiji, that is, says Chris Neal. Yeah, so I think it is on Rugby Pass. I will quickly have a check and make sure just before I send them off on a wild goose chase, as they say. We'll go here. Okay, they don't actually have the broadcasters list like they normally would on the site that I use. So, yeah, hopefully it is around somewhere, though, as a good option of being able to watch. Looking through at the benches for these two sides. Hang on, that's the wrong one. We'll go here, Boom, there we go. So, Real Tongi Atama there for the Fijians in the number 16 jersey. Here, Reti Atit and also Samu Tawake as their number 18. Timo Maina Vanua. Now, I will mention Tawake has already made his way onto the field. That was due to Masaki Donge getting himself a yellow card. Motokai Murray's there. Why? As well as Valentini, who did actually start, so he is not as that number 22. And then Georgi Nasova, he's had a few impacts throughout this game already, mainly due to injuries. The HIA, Seta Tamani Valu, brought him onto the field for the Canadians. They've already had to make that change of Lloyd. That was due to the injury of Nelson, but then Nelson came back, which I was a little bit surprised by, mainly because you don't need to risk an injury in this game when you're already in the position that they are. Like, if he was to re-injure what he's hurt here, he will definitely not be playing next week. Whereas if he doesn't injure it more, there is a chance that he can play next week. Up against the Tongans, that will be the 3rd and 4th place playoff game. Samoa versus Chile also going to be taking place next weekend. And that match is going to determine who makes their way through to the Rugby World Cup. We're able to go the months. I'm not actually too sure. Dang it, thanks for the help at least. Says Charlie, did it work on the Rugby Pass? I know that for me it didn't, but I do still think if you go to certain locations and keep on reloading Rugby Pass, eventually you'll be able to find one that it does work for. Did Australia work out of curiosity, or was that one that you didn't end up trying? We have got the No One Can Beat Fiji. Says Rosman and Setatamani Valu played for the All Blacks. Says Biggie Boom, he certainly did. And Fiji should play Argentina or South Africa next. Says Lake Show. And who knows, Rugby World Cup draw coming up in the future, and perhaps we could see the Fijians find themselves up against one of those two sides. Although I do think Fiji, do I have it somewhere here? I'm sure I had a pop-up that said who Fiji were playing in November. You're going to see me looking very intently because I'm sure I had it somewhere for the Fijians. In terms of who they have. I could also just look it up, which might be the easier option because I'm currently still looking through. And I'm not seeing too much. Unless it's here. Is that Fiji? That doesn't look like Fiji. That looks more like a New Zealand flag. Right, we'll get it up on my phone. Let you know exactly who they can play in November. 1 second, there we go. Go here. November, they have got England and France as the upcoming matches for the Fijians. Couple tough games for their internationals in November. I couldn't find it in Australia, says Charlie. I'm trying to think of who else. Maybe, what about South Africa? I don't think they show these games on DSTV in South Africa, so perhaps that could be an option. And Fiji can afford to save some energy for the final next weekend. And Fiji carrying the Pacific nations, or Pacific Islands and rugby man, besides New Zealand, of course, says Robert T. They've done very well throughout that first half. Haven't looked like slowing down either. But as soon as that fatigue in the second half hits, we don't see enough Fiji versus South Africa games, says Robert T. That is mainly because it's Southern Hemisphere. Like if Fiji were on the Northern Hemisphere, then that would happen much more often. But because of the fact that they're both Southern Hemisphere, that is why it doesn't happen too much. Just showing there that one missed kick from Kima Valetini. I should also mention that there is still that yellow card in play of Misaki Donge. Hopefully he will be able to make his way back out onto the field. We see 34 tackles missed from Canada. Canada have missed 10 more tackles than Fiji have made in that first half. Carry meters, 678 for Fiji, 87 for the Canadians. So having about 7 or 8 times the amount of carry meters here for Fiji. Possession, 80%. Territory, 63%. And it just doesn't seem like changing since the Rugby World Cup 2007, says DJ Shack. But yeah, perhaps they could end up in that same grouping for the next World Cup. Could well and truly be the possibility. We have got the electric eel bunny and there as well, and that qualifying final. And Fiji hasn't played the box since 2007. And Fiji play Wales, England, Scotland in Fiji next year. Or if they're playing those three in Fiji next year. That'll be a big tour for them as well. They're playing England quite a bit. Although I haven't minded that because England are actually one of the sides that they play quite well up against. You know, they had that big win not too long ago. We'll have a look at the odds in this one. See whether or not there is any chance of a comeback, but doesn't look like it. It's more so I'm curious about what type of kind of line they have. 60 points is roundabout where Fiji are supposed to finish in this game ahead of the Canadians. They had an epic quarterfinal in the World Cup in 2007, says Krishnell, and Canada look rusty. Yeah, they just don't quite look like themselves in this game. Like throughout their other Pacific Nations Cup games, they weren't too bad. You know, they had some good moments. They beat the USA. And the USA beat Samoa. But then Fiji beat Samoa. So it's a roundabout type of situation there. But it's just they haven't been able to find any sort of rhythm in this game. They've lacked possession, only having 20% of the ball. Now, of course, a few of these guys from the 7 setup will know if you don't have the ball in hand, you're going to struggle to win games. And unless something drastic changes, Fiji will probably try and work their way towards that, probably about 80, 90 points by the end of this game if they don't slow down. Second half just about here. Games round the corner. Samoa taking on Chile. At this point in time, I think we're almost booking in the final. So it will be Fiji versus Tonga next weekend. And then also it will be the matchup between Tonga and Canada. Now, I would say that Tonga played better up against the Japanese than what we are seeing from Canada up against Fiji. Or maybe Fiji are just too good, says NZ Ryan. And I'm intrigued to see how that final goes because that is literally the two sides that are unbeaten going head-to-head in that next stage. Imagine if Fiji had Amoni Naroa, Timothy Tavatavanawa, and Sevu Reece, says Robert T. Although, to be fair to them, they're doing all right with Rakuro, Ravovo, and Tabuavao in this one. And what a rugby nation, says Robert T. Do let me know, what score do you think Fiji are going to get to here? Because they have 40 points on top of the Canadians already. They're up to 43. I think they're going to get 75 at least here. Maybe even more. Because Canada, well, if Canada get the ball more here, maybe there's a chance. 86 says Novmum, 62-17. Also, you're giving Canada a couple tries in the second half. A little bit of a late fight back from the Canadians. Yeah, just showing that Moana Well, sorry, not Moana, but the Pacific Nations Cup promo, praying Canada scores at least one try. Says Charlie there and can't find nothing. Just watch the recap, says Charlie. What about in somewhere like Canada? Do they have an option along those lines? Bloody heck, says Robert T. And just showing some of the highlights of the competition in the past. We've seen Fiji play Canada before. We've got their 2017 scoreline, Fiji versus Canada, says Lake Show. Yeah, it's a bit one-sided. But the two sides are back out there on the field. We just have TSN here, but it's like 25 a month. Yeah, no, that's pretty brutal. It's like how I wanted to cover the Carling Curry Cup semi-finals. And because they weren't showing one of them on Sky, I looked and I was going to do it on Stan Sport. But turns out Stan Sport, for me to be able to watch that single game, was going to cost like 50 New Zealand dollars, which I'm not sure what that is in Canadian. That's probably about maybe 30, 35. No, I don't know what the Canadian dollar goes at nowadays. NZD to Canadian dollar? Is that Canadian dollar? Oh, yeah, nah. So, about 41 Canadian dollars to watch one game of rugby. So we decided to do the Women's World Cup instead, ironically, involving Canada. We have got there, it's like 40, says Charlie. Yeah, so a bit hefty. Yeah, brutal. I mean, I would have had Stan Sport for a month, but I already have Sport here, so it didn't really give me too many extra options. Like this. And like that as well. Looks like at the moment there is a conversation of whether or not it's going to be upgraded to a red. Right, it's been reviewed. Oh, it's a red card for Masaki Donge. I've just heard it there. They're pretty much saying, because Tavita Ikanaveri was asking how long do we have left of that red card, and the referee was like, no spoilers, we got to tell it at the same time. I saw us play USA in person, so I wanted to follow them, but prices are bloody cooked. Says Charlie there. And that was a good game from the Canadians too. A solid victory there. So it is going to be upgraded to the 20-minute red card, which does mean that we will see no more Masaki Donge in this contest due to that red. It did look like I mentioned there was a bit of extra leaping going into it. Fiji and Flair missing. They are passing well. I like to see more wide passing and running, says Ty Smith. Yeah, their offloading game's been pretty solid in the first half too from the Fijians. They're saying they're waiting for TV, but the TV is on. We can see it. They're still waiting. How long are they waiting? I assume someone else has had an air break, maybe. Okay, they're on now. That was almost like a scene, you know. They had to wait till the camera said action. The referee, he had a little bit of a chat with the players beforehand. He said, "Look, I'm going to say this to you," and then he said, "Yep, Saki Donge's done. Red card. Give me some beautiful commentary. I'll imagine the game in my head." Right, so it's kicked off by Canada, going from left to right and slapped back nicely by Josiah Mora, 40 metres out from the line, but the ball's stolen by the Fijians. Offload now on the outside. Lot of space on the near side of the field, and that is going to be a brilliant attack and run from Antonio Wanga. Beautiful offload on the outside. Georgie Nasova scores it, and Fiji score in 11 seconds. Oh well, that was a quick start to the second half. I use VPN plus Stan. It's probably the cheapest way to watch rugby in the UK, says Robert T. But Georgie Nasova scoring his first try. They hardly even got the clock going before he managed to score himself that try. And Tosavetti make it 86-6. Go Fiji go, says Arami there. And Canada having a sleep. Yeah, they got caught out big time. The worst thing is, Canada actually retained their own kickoff. But little did they know that was going to be more damaging to them. And it's a great offload from Antonio Wanga, lowering the two defenders, and then Georgie Nasova with a big dive. The Canadian player didn't want to make eye contact with him. He was leaping through the air. But yeah, great start to the half for the Fijians. Now Kimu Valetini, he has got himself every kick but one in this contest. And every kick but two, because that one has missed away to the left-hand side. So the scoreline now between these two teams, it is 48-3. And Dosaviti make it 86-6 for the score prediction there. Oh, I don't know if Canada would take on a three-pointer here with how far behind they find themselves sitting. I think maybe instead they should be chasing those tries. But bit too much of a mountain to climb, I think. And we are at a high altitude, but Canada have managed to retain their kickoff again, but this time going to use their backline. And on the outside, into the hands of Noah Flesh. We've hardly seen that man or even said his name. Higgins, across to the left-hand side, finds the Vault Kutsia for the Canadians. Higgins again, off to the left. O'Leary playing first receiver. Send it further, off to the side, little inside pass. Nice hands from Nelson, now popping it. Out to Josiah Mora, wrestled down by Rakuro. Into the 22 now for the Canadians. Matt Owaru almost through. Now pick and go from Callum Butcher. Owaru asking for a little bit of support on his side. And now, this is the best chance Canada have had to be able to score themselves a try in this contest. Just 1 metre out. Higgins searching for that ball. We've got to remember, Fiji playing this game at the moment with just the 14 players. Go my Fiji, says Eddie. And now defending just out from the line. Higgins goes back across. Nelson gets involved. Skip pass. This has to be a try. And they reach out. They'll check the grounding, but I'm pretty sure Perry's just got it. Oh, and a bit of push and shove there. Uh-oh. It's all kicking off now. Players are not too happy. Tabua Val is holding two Canadian players, one on each arm. He was not too happy about it. We've got there, beautiful. That's our style now. Great start, guys. Coming. Oh, keep it coming. There's Ty. Okay, number 12 white, number 12 red, and the two captains. So that's Inia Tabua Val, Spencer Jones, and the two skippers getting called over. They might both go to the bin here. The fact that they're calling over the same players. And a nice moment there. A handshake and a hug. Okay, so they've just been warned there. Handshake as well between Tabua Val as well as Spencer Jones. A hug is shared between the two players, and now they're going upstairs to check whether or not it is a try. But I think both men realised that they had to get those acting skills out in front of the referee and say, no, we're friends, ref. We banter with each other all the time. Don't send either of us off. And that was the last warning for any extra push and shove. Now the grounding. Wait, what are we checking now? This is way back. Is that another challenge from Fiji? They're checking for Antonio Wanga's tackle. Oh, it's a shoulder on the jaw. This might be a yellow card here for Fiji. It would be a shame for Antonio Wanga after the game that he has had. Be sent off now for a yellow, potentially a red. Now, there is a directional change. So once again, maybe yellow. I don't think it should be red, but Donge's was a red card. Okay, they're sending it for an off-field review. Tosavititoso says Kalimo. Referee having a run. He looks like he's struggling a little bit. That altitude's hitting the ref just like it is hitting the players. Number 6, Antonio Wanga. He was just hiding. And then one of his teammates grabbed him by the arm and tried to push him forward as if to say, you're the one that they're calling for. I think he's just now realised. And yellow card for an on-field review. Or off-field review, sorry, I should say. Okay, it's going to be about 30 metres out from the line. So this has been called as no try. Okay, the ball was knocked on. I think there Mason Fletch was just asking the question, hey, are we going to check our try? And he said, no, drop ball. Now Peter Nelson kicking this one into the corner for the Canadians, although it is about maybe 10 metres out I think Wanga almost took more of the brunt of that shot than the player who he tried to tackle. In that case of the Wild Kurtzia, but he certainly got it on the jawline. In that one. Now the Wild Kurtzia. Can they get their first try? Oh, it was a good catch from one of the players below the lock. Stop the Canadian from falling in an awkward manner, but now just 20 metres from the line. Callum Butcher, they've been as close as 5 metres out from the line. Finally got the game. Had to use South African VPN and postal code. Geez, that's a bit fancy, isn't it? And it needed your postal code as well. But yeah, hopefully you are able to enjoy that last 35 minutes of the game. Now nice work in the breakdown from Roni Maui. I think he took a bit of head contact there and a knock on from Noah Fletch. And we'll go back now for the scrum. You can just see the frustration on the face here of the Canadians. Every time they almost get an attack slightly going, they drop a ball or they just let it slip away. Fiji actually still playing now with 13 players on the field. Now Masaki Donge, his red card, I believe it won't be 17 minutes. I think it's only going to be remaining maybe about 7 minutes, I would say, of that yellow. Whereas Antonio Wanga, he's got 8 minutes remaining of his yellow card. And just daring there, big scrum, Kaiviti, from one of the Fijian forwards. They want a big push here, and they have been able to do that throughout the game, and they get themselves the penalty there. Call of too much weight for the second time. Number 3, overleaning, so that is against Cole Keith. Now Kimmo Valentini is again going to be able to kick this one towards the sideline. This is where Fiji, every time that there is any sort of stoppage, they can just chill. You know, use up a few extra seconds every once in a while. Oh, hang on. The ruling on the second yellow. Captain's being called over. This is going to be very impactful. It remains a yellow card. So that is good news for Antonio Wanga. He will get to make his way back out onto the field. I think we just saw the little fist bump from him. He was asking his teammates, is it red or is it yellow? And they said yellow, and he went as if to say he was very lucky. But now to Canaveri. Throwing it in now, knock on from Kuravoli. It was a poor pass from the line out. Which now gives Canada the scrum feed. Like they've said, it seems like the second half has hit a little bit of a grinding halt. Such a quick start to the game from the Fijians, and also a quick start to the second half. But from there, it's kind of died down a little bit. We've seen a few more stoppages, a few more errors creeping in. This type of slow, methodical pace actually benefits both sides because no one likes altitude in terms of having to run around for multiple minutes on end. Like they've just said, Fiji, they've got themselves a match next week as well. So do Canada. That's probably on both of the sides' mind too. They don't want to go out, get themselves a whole heap of injuries. The final moments of this game. Ball is fed in by Jason Higgins. Off to the left-hand side. Moving it quite nicely here for the Canadians. Out to Josiah Mora. For the steal on the breakdown was Kimmo Valentini. Now Matt Oro, he sits down. Samu Tawake. He's not in a good way either, Tawake. I think that really rocked the jaw of the big man. He looks like he is fully struggling. Get back to his feet. Oh, okay. Tabor Val is not good here. He's taken another head knock. He took one earlier on in the game, but this time can't even get back to his feet, so they will have to check him. And I would assume he'll have to make his way off the field. The hard work has been done exactly right. They've put the points on the board. Oh, it's actually a ball that's hit him in the side of the head there. That might be one of the first times we've seen a guy get knocked out by a ball. Although he says he's all right, but I think it might have just been more so that it hit him in the ear, so he was a bit uncomfortable, but that man's been about as close to an HIA throughout this whole game as anyone we have ever seen. You know, he took a shot earlier on to the head, and then now he has just got back up. Now backline movement. Chance here for Josiah Mora out wide. Rakuro making the low tackle. Considering going for that steal and the breakdown yet again. Now Botcha. Oh, short ball. Going now to Martinez. I just see they lost 10 kgs heading into the tournament for Kali Martinez. They've been a busy man now. Nice pass on the outside. Stepping back inwards for Spencer Jones. This is the most that we've seen this Canadian backline in action throughout this whole game. And that's a good sign. Maybe it is because they're playing 13. But it could also be because they're slowly starting to find their rhythm that they were lacking. Oh, they just dropped that ball forward. Never mind, I just jinxed them. And like they said, tough result for the Canadians after just starting to get a few phases together. Yeah, they're just not quite getting it right throughout this match. They need some sort of try. I feel like that would help them take a step in the right direction. But now still 30 minutes remain. This is going to be a long 30 minutes for these two sides. And I would say that as many stoppages as they can have would be the ideal scenario for the big forwards. Asking for some control from Devold Kutsia and Davida Ikanaviri. It is the Simeone Kuravuli scrum feed here. They've got Y off the bench that they can use later on too for Fiji. And you get into this point now with 30 minutes to go. I think you can make your replacements. Maybe you leave one just in case of an injury. But overall, you know, if you want to avoid any sort of injury to a main player, it's probably the time to take them off. Good kick into touch from Canada down towards the halfway line. Fiji will have the line out throw 45 metres out from the Canadian line. Oh, more subs are being made. I believe that time it is going to be Callum Botcha making his way off. Now Fiji still with the 13 men, but it won't be for much longer. I believe they've got... Oh, that was close to a steal for the Canadians. But yeah, only about 3 or 4 minutes remaining of that Masaki Donge red card. He will not be able to make his way back out onto the field. But they will be able to make that extra switch. Oh, big dropping shot there. 12 told to get back onside. A little bit slow to do so for Spencer Jones. It's going to be another penalty advantage now in favour of Fiji. Right-hand side. Oh, one more on the outside. Stepping back inwards for Tabua Val. Like I mentioned, he has been absolutely through a pretty tough time out there on the field in this match. But we're going to see another penalty for the Fijians. It's about 45 metres out. Simeone Kuravuli calling for the ball. He wants to take the quick tap. I think all of his teammates here do not do that. And it looks like now Kimu Valentini is now calling for the tee. They will use up that extra minute. Tosa Viti Toso, Cesar Rami. They are just saying there that it is an interesting call, but I think it makes perfect sense here. You're up by such a large margin. This is to extend the lead to 48 points. And at least some of the Canadian players feel a bit sick now from being outclassed, that is. Says NZ right, and yeah, it could be a great motivator for them heading into their next week's game up against the Canadians. Sorry, up against the Tongans, I should say. We are hoping to cover that one on the channel as well. Kimu Valentini. He's looking at the post. He's looking at the ball, looking at the post. He's got 20 seconds left on the shot clock, but he strikes it anyway, gets it over. And that is now going to make the score 53 minutes in, 51 points to 3. I can't remember what my prediction. I think I said 75 points, didn't I? Was that where I went? In terms of the overall end score. Have a quick look. Like this. And like that as well. At the moment, the line is 64.5. As whereabouts they say that Fiji are sitting in this game. And it's less likely for them to win by 65.5 at this stage. Now off to the right-hand side. Oh, bit of a rough pass there from O'Leary. Went low, but it is picked up well by Spencer Jones, who's tackled by his opposite number, Taboavale. Now drop ball for Canada. It was almost that cleanly dropped that he didn't even get a hand to it. Now Kimu Valetini. Kicking it downfield. Advantage is now over. Only sitting 5 metres out from the line here. Nick Ben having to retreat. It's almost charged down. Didn't get the best angle on it. And Fiji will now have the attacking line out 20 metres out from Canada's line. $75. I'm going with... My brain stopped working there for a second, but 75. I'm calling it right now. If I get it right, then we'll take it away. How would they get 75 though? Because they won't take threes. Well, actually, no. To be fair, they just took a 3, didn't they? So they probably would. Now off to the right-hand side, Shane O'Leary. And the big fend there, Josiah Mora, driven backwards. Off to the left-hand side again. Canada asking for the penalty for Fiji being off their feet. Now brought back into the 22, so this one cannot find touch. Now around the halfway line. Fiji looking to fire it back. They had such a dangerous first half. Oh, awkward bouncing ball picked up by Kimu Valetini. Look for the offload, but it's taken back by Higgins, who offloads to Ben. That one went backwards, so Josiah Mora is out on his wing at the moment, but he is nowhere to be seen. Instead, it is in the hands of the Fijian fullback. Ponepati Loganamasi offloads to Kuravoli. No trapping him. It's called there from the referee. I need to learn how to not look down when I'm trying to listen to the referee. But I don't know why, but it always happens. I go, now Kuravoli. Off to the left-hand side, Kimu Valetini. Oh, and off to the left, you can hear the referee really sucking in the big ones now, and that's a good run. Too much pace. And scores the try for Fiji. Oh, his leg gave way afterwards for Kalaviti Ravovo. He is feeling the power, feeling the fatigue out there in Colorado. Just saying about the 2 tries apiece for Kalaviti Ravovo, as well as the try for Teniela Rukuro. He was able to get himself 2 earlier on. We have got Go Fiji. Says Tangilala. They will be making their way through to the final to face none other than the Japanese. It's going to be a good game. Both of these sides undefeated at this stage of the competition. Be sure. Keep an eye out for that one. And just the leg gave out from Kalaviti Ravovo after scoring it. He took some big strides to get there. They'll be using up every inch of the shot clock that they can. I'm still trying to do the maths of how they can get to 75 from here, but I don't know. They're up to 58. How many more points would 75 be? That would be another 17. 17 points. 2 tries and a 3, maybe. If they decide to do that as a Canadian, thank God for the women's rugby program in this country. So here's Jameson. He hasn't quite gone the way that they would have liked. Go Fiji, go says Philemoni. This has been a really strong Fijian performance. Probably one of their better as of late. And it's been obvious that they've taken their foot off the gas a bit in the second half. Maybe that is down to fatigue. Might not even be on purpose, but they are firmly in control. Can someone get a bowl of kava? To our brother Kiwi lad. says Eddie there, and go Fiji go, says Villamoni. Does Carver make you more awake or sleepy? Because we've currently done another all-nighter and I am feeling every minute of it now. Matt Oruoru, ball on the inside. This is a chance for Canada. Pure pace off the bench and they score the try. Brock Gallagher does get the try. First touch of the day. Well, he's probably going to be starting next week with an impact like that. But celebrating that one, Brock Gallagher. That was Josiah Mora again, managing to get that kickoff in favour of the Canadians. Matt Awada has been a game changer too, with his power game. And then from there, all trying to punch that ball out of his hands. In fact, it was for Ponepati Loganamasi. Knew he wasn't quite going to be able to make that tackle the way that he would have liked to. So instead, he almost got a sucker punch to the elbow. That probably hurt. Get that one on the funny bone. It wouldn't be very funny for Brock, but he'll be happy to score. But that one's gone over for Canada, making the score now 58-10 in this match. Is that the turning point for Canada? Not to get back into this game, but perhaps to just add up a few extra points on the board more. So a quarter of this match to go. Fiji up by 48. Did you have a little nap? I did not have a little nap. I have been up since yesterday. But we will certainly be sleeping quite a bit later on, I would think. It's like Taveta Ikanaveri. He's going to make his way off. It's going to be for Zaril Tongiatama. Kicked off again. Josiah Mora takes it, running sideways, bumps out of one challenge. See there, that Pryor is onto the field for Martinez. That's turned into a rolling maul. That ball is going absolutely nowhere. And Fiji tie it up. And it does become the scrum feed. Wait a minute. Scrum feed for the Fijians. I was confused there for a second. Referee had it out for the Canadians for a start. Now 25 metres from the line. And what rank are Fiji in the world? I believe they are currently 10th in the overall standings. But I did see that if they lose to Japan next week, they can actually drop quite drastically in terms of those points, because they are quite even when it comes to the points. And I think, I could be wrong, but this may count as a Fiji in a home game, the final, with it being in the USA. I'd like to think it's neutral ground, but I'm not too sure whether or not the World Rankings register as that. Canada will be slightly fatigued too, but most likely Gonas, says NZ Riot. Yeah, it's not going to be easy. Like I said, at this point in time, they are just running on a very low gas tank. All about to be fed in by Y. Fiji versus Japan will be good, and bit too much movement, says the ref. Yeah, I think that is going to be potentially match of the tournament. Fiji versus Japan, just because of both of them having so much attacking power. The referee just saying he's going to come over and fix that scrum. Okay, a bit of a conversation there as well with one of the Canadian props. Making sure the plan's all good for Connor Young. Made his way off the bench not too long ago. Now why? To put the ball in. Moment. Taniela Rakuro, as well as Kalaviti Ravovo. They both have two. Oh, it's a free kick going the way of the Fijians, but they both have two tries and a hat-trick. Could be on the cards very soon. We see big Viliami Mata still running around out there. Why? Goes across to Zaril Tongiatama, tackled by his opposite number, Jesse McHale. Now the advantage for McHale actually being offside. Jumped the gun a little bit too quickly. Now Zaril Tongiatama, tackled low by Isaac Kelly. Still under that advantage for Fiji. Few extra metres for Masaki Vothi. Now, Kimmy Valetini, a no-look pass going in behind. Goes to the sideline. I think there was just a question whether or not they were still under penalty advantage. Referee said, yep, you are, so you can keep on going. They aren't making a huge amount of metres just at this point in time. Off to the right again. Now to the right, that look forward from Ravovo, just short of the line now for Rakuro, though, 2 metres out. It can go from the other man close to getting his hat-trick. Oh, bit of cramp there by the looks of it for Tabua Val, but Viliami Mata stretches out. There's a double blow of the whistle. This might be a Canadian yellow card here. Or in fact, no, that might be to check that forward pass, I would say. Okay, referee actually not giving it as a yellow card here, but he's just pretty much said you're on your last warning. Anything more than that, someone's going to be leaving the field. But Viliami Mata, when he's that close to the line, you're just not stopping that man. There's too much power, too much ability. He gets another 5-pointer on the board for the Flying Fijians. What are we sitting at? 75 was my prediction. We're getting close, actually. 75 would be 12 points from here, wouldn't it? Uh-oh, TMO check. I think it's for the forward pass. I think there's about 3 or 4 phases before the try was scored, but they can go back that far. Right, they're going to be putting it up on the big screen. Referee will not be minding a bit of a break here. Something that does get underappreciated is the fitness of these referees as well. Of course, they aren't taking the contact that the players are, but they are well and truly working hard. Right, here it is. The pass from Kalaveti Ravovo, that to me is slightly forward. Just a little bit. See another replay now. Look at the replay. Yep. That'll be a forward pass, so that will be no try for Viliami Mata there. I'm going to get strategic, and if I shuffle forward, I can slouch back. And it looks like I'm sitting up properly, but I'm not. That try is going to be not awarded. They are still trying to find where the penalty was. There it is. Middle of the field. Go for 3 again here if you're Fiji. Or do you go aggressive and try and get yourself another try in the corner? Oh. Okay, they've actually decided to go for the scrum here. Let's effing take it, I have just heard. I think at the moment there is just a big conversation with Connor Young as well as the referee. There was actually last scrum as well. Seems to be that he is the man who is under the microscope. Heretiatit is back onto the field, for Ronnie Maui. Motukai Murray, he is on for Viliami Mata, so he missed out on his try-scoring chance over 89.5. Don't know if we'll get there. I think that Fiji throughout the second half have been a lot more complacent. So it might be a bit of a tough one since, what are they on at the moment? 68. So you'd need like 3 more tries in this last 15 minutes, which don't get me wrong is well and truly possible, but I don't know if Fiji are willing to go too hard here. They'll just tick over, get those points, and then kind of call it a day. Get into that final next week up against the Japanese. Now another big push there. Going to be the advantage now in favour of Fiji. Now tackles made. 22 metres out from the line, and already Motukai Murray gets his first touch of possession. Heriti Hitit the same. Oh, there's an awkward, weird rolling thing going on between him and Jesse McHale. Now to Buaval, passes across there, the spin from Bonepati, Loganamasi. For the steal there was the Canadian 6, but unable to get it now. Zeriel Tongiotama, almost through again. Now why? They're still under penalty advantage to Buaval, cut him back in with beautiful run. Kalaveti Ravovo was looking for a teammate to pass to there. Now to put that in perspective, he now has a hat-trick, so he was going to be willing to give up that hat-trick for one of his teammates to score a try in this game. That's the type of player Ravovo seems to be. We have got there no need for Fiji to try too hard, given they have a grand final next week versus Japan. Japan versus Fiji final, says Brass. Yeah, Kalaveti Ravovo. pierce that gap so well, cutting back around the Canadian defence, who were all drifting a little bit wider. Now lining up the kick here for Kimu Valentini. And he's missed again. Tell you what, he was having a fantastic kicking day until I jinxed him. Which tier is Canada? Says Stay Hunky. Tier 2 or 3, I'm not actually too sure. Which they are counted as. They're ranked, I believe, 22nd in the world. Or maybe 24th, one of those two. Oh. Why is the captain getting called over? Okay, they were just clarifying that that conversion was missed. I think Canada will win. Says Peds Blaze there. It's going to be kicked off by the Canadians, who are looking to start that comeback, as you say. Oh, drop ball from Fiji. It goes backwards. Massive shot coming in from Isaac Kelly on Rakuro, and they do get the penalty there, Canada. 2 is absolute shocker. Fiji should be on 1 by now. Says Stay Hunky. But now Silla, he has made his way off, and Timo Mainavanua has made his way on. Nelson's done pretty well to even be playing in this game, I have to say. After the early injury, looking like he was done for the day, and perhaps even for the competition. The fact that he's still out there, you know, it's not an easy game to step up and say, I will face Fiji with their physicality. Even though I'm not 100%. Okay, they've called 5. They were just trying to get clarification on the numbers. And what was Canada's best ever ranking in the last 10 years, says Carallo. I'd say probably around that 20 mark. I don't think they've been too much higher than that, have they, the Canadians? Someone who knows Canada Rugby better than myself will be able to let me know. Pass on the inside to Ben. A little bit high from Kalaveti Ravovo. Georgia over the Canadians, says Stay Hunky. And also in Canada beat USA last weekend, says NZ. Right, that is true. What about counter ruck there from Fiji, but giving away the penalty for in off the feet. 12 in through the side. Now again, Nelson will kick this one towards the sideline. Currently 11 and a half minutes remaining. Goes out again. 5 metres from the line. Canada could get themselves another one here. And Hamish, this year's NPC is so entertaining. It's been a really good comp so far, and I do think that as we get closer to the end of it, that's when it really starts to heat up. The game that we're hoping to cover this week, Canterbury versus Otago, that seems like it could be a cracker, with both of the sides sitting where they are on the standings. A rolling maul, Jesse McHale. Moving sideways at the moment. In fact, this is moving quite nicely towards the try line. McHale tried to break away, and it is going to be a penalty advantage now for the Canadians. The try scorer, Brock Gallagher, going back across to the left. Now wide cut-out pass. One more on the outside. Josiah Mora with some great step and spins out of one, and he will be just 1 metre short. Getting onto the ball. Great steal for Fiji, but they'll go back for the original penalty. Fiji now ranked 9th in World Rugby. So here's Eddie there. Do you think we will see many changes to the ABs in the end-of-year tour? I think we'll see a few. Mainly because of injury returns as well as player eligibility. Bot Gallagher deciding once again that they will go to the corner once more. Just the 10 minutes on the clock. Fiji, once again, they're in the position that they need to be. Ready to throw it in. 5 metres out, nicely taken by the skipper. Now this one, once again, side shuffling. Do you think this game should have been played in Colorado? Do you think the game should have been, as in like you wanted to see it somewhere else, as in like a home game for one of these two sides maybe? Because next week they are both in Utah again for the matches, so we will get to see the Fiji versus Japan final taking place in Utah. Now Gallagher to the right-hand side again. Oh my goodness, that was a big collision. And there's a stoppage here. I believe the player is knocked out here, Isaac Kelly. This might be a yellow, if not red card for Fiji. Okay, scrum is going to be to Canada here for the stoppage. They've got quite a few people running onto the field now, just checking on them, as well as just getting some drinks on the field for the teams. I would love to see Sean Withy get a shot versus the likes of Scotland. Last weekend was absolutely bad. AB's lost and the Wars lost as well. So bad week. Says stay hunky. I think they might check this, as it did seem a little bit higher than it should have been. Okay, the referee's just saying about seeing something live that looked quite maybe impactful. We have got disappointed for Tawatavanawai. Wanted to see him play against the Box. The saddest thing for Timothy Tawatavanawai is the fact that had the All Blacks selected him and backed him a little bit more, he probably wouldn't have got injured, because we didn't see them put Quinn Tupaia in the NPC for that reason. You know, putting him still in the side, ready to go. But, yeah, I think it's just a really unfortunate one for Timothy. I'm just saying the crowd is pretty disappointed, especially for a semi-finals game. I agree. There's not a huge amount of crowd in attendance for this game. Okay, it's going to be a restart of a scrum. Maybe she should drink Fiji water to keep up. Fiji will have a tough final next week. Looking at the way Japan played against Tonga. Yeah, it's going to be a great final. Both sides really have packed a punch throughout their semis. Game is going to be taking place on Sunday next week. They're actually talking about an Aussie rules player there for one of the Australians. Or one of the Canadians, I should say, sorry. I think that this referee and Connor Young need to have like a catch-up after the game. Because every single time Connor gets a warning from the referee and he tells him what he's doing wrong, he's back on his feet here. He can't continue in this game, can he? He's going to continue in this game. Isaac Kelly, I would have thought, that's an interesting one. I would have thought if you stayed down for that long and looked like your half-by got knocked out, that you would not be able to continue in this match. But obviously he's had a chat to the medical side of things, and they've said, nah, you're all right. Get back out there. And Tosa Vetitoso says Kalesi there. And box one, the Rugby World Cup for sure. Back-to-back. Says stay hunky. And points please says Jolami. At the moment it is sitting after 71 minutes, 63-10. Although Canada looking to get themselves another try here. Ball on the outside to Josiah Mora. One of the better players in the back line when it comes to this Canadian side. And they're saying here that Canada at the moment, this is their longest time with the ball in hand throughout this whole matchup. Now Pryor, Gallagher, back across, and that's the drop ball from Isaac Kelly. Now you could blame the head knock for that, seeing as it was a nasty one just before. We have Kadea Tonga's no threat team. They're just nowhere near Japan. Says stay hunky, although we are going to get to see the Canadians go head-to-head with Tonga next week. 8 minutes remaining. My prediction for Fiji was that they would reach 75 points. They would still need 2 more tries. And how many minutes left to play? Still another 7.5 minutes in this match. But Fiji have really slowed down in terms of the speed that they are scoring tries at. Just more of a casual stroll now in this match. Now again, why? It's the ball in for Fiji, and that is a big push, but Canada get themselves the penalty. I believe it was the front row angling there for the Fijians. Stepping forward first, that was 17, so Hireti Hitit, the man who was penalised for that one. Penalties conceded so far. Canada have conceded 11. Fiji have conceded the 6. Now another line out. Canada just want that one rolling maul try, all playing with his hamstring again here by the looks of it for Nelson. Mentioned about how it was a risk getting him back out there, but he has played longer. Who won from Japan and Tonga? Japan managed to get themselves the big win there. Tonga put in a valiant fight, got themselves 4 tries, but Japan got about the 8 at the end of that game. So yeah, Fiji versus Japan will be the final we're looking at. Currently, Fiji, they have stolen that ball at line-out time. A big attack and run from Mutakai Murray. Back into the pocket again. And does go near the touchline. Back across now, Shane O'Leary. Big solid run from McMullen. There's going to be another advantage. Becomes a penalty. Double blow the whistle here. And this is going to be now Fiji's last warning with just the 6 minutes remaining. Okay, have a word please as the comment from the referee to Viliami Mata, I believe it was. Now Canada, they are going to go for the corner again. Oh, okay, so it was actually a penalty for ripping the scrum cap off. It's an interesting penalty to have. It's not normally one that gets penalised. Normally it's something that starts a little bit of a scrap between the two teams. But not normally a penalty. Now Canada, 5.5 minutes remaining. Line out throw here for Jesse McHale. I think once again they will back themselves to go for that line out maul. Nicely claimed by was Isaac Kelly. This one's going sideways at the moment. 7 meters out, they're told to use it. Gallagher will go across now to Nelson. It's getting slower and slower, and I feel like as soon as he stops running around, it's really going to hurt that leg. O'Leary considered going for a kick. Instead tries to pierce through, but he is tackled by the big man, Cyril Tongia Tama, and a big collision in the breakdown. Fiji pop out with the ball, breaking forward lie. Oh, that was Y, sorry. Onto the 22, Canada having to retreat. Some really tired legs getting back for that one, and McMillan does get it into touch. We can hear it there. The referee is really struggling. Oh, quick throw taken by Fiji. But there is a player down in O'Leary. Looks like a little bit of cramp here as well. Yeah, the referee, he's feeling it. He's done well today, to be fair. Of course, the players are doing it pretty tough out there, but the ref, you know, he's having a run all over the place. Still trying to keep the jogging going, though. And Japan won. So here's Kailani there for that last Pacific Nations Cup match. So, yeah, we do get to see 3 games next week. Samoa versus Chile, not for the Pacific Nations Cup, but for the Rugby World Cup qualifiers. Get to see Tonga versus Canada in the playoff game for 3rd, and then Fiji versus Japan. See who ends up winning the whole competition. But now still some big hits at this stage of the contest. Fiji going away to the right-hand side. Georgie Nasova struggled to put him down. Now we've seen 1 hat-trick. That is for Kalaviti Rakuro, I believe. And still potentially get his. Oh, good hands from Wanga. As he takes it out wide, steps back inwards, breaks 2 tackles, but he's dropped the ball. Canada take it back. Nelson just boots it downfield. Says we'll keep on playing. Good take at the back. Poripati Loganamasi. Oh, he's thrown the ball. And he did an American football style pass. I think he may have hurt his leg here. I don't know whether or not it's cramp or not, but yeah, he just biffed it. And now Peter Nelson, he's got cramp in that leg. All of these players have played at such a fast pace, even in the times when it's a little bit slower. Okay, Loganamasi there was just saying, why didn't you let me play on, ref, as he's lying on his back in pain from cramp. There was no knock on. So it is going to be the scrum for the Fijians. See, now this is an interesting one, though. Because I would almost argue that that should be a scrum to Canada. And the only reason I say that is because a certain coach in World Rugby may look at that and go, oh, if we fake a cramp, we're going to get a scrum. Not saying any names, but could it be a tactic in the future that we do see? If Ponipati Loganamasi has just created a trend there, we'll certainly see it ruled out pretty quickly. 2 minutes left on the clock now. 78 minutes through, so close to the full-time siren. The Fijians, this will probably be their last real attacking chance of the half. And how many minutes left? Still just the 2 minutes on the clock before Fiji get themselves the win, but the free kick goes the way of Canada. Oh, Matt Awaru taking the quick tap about maybe 10 metres behind the mark, but just wanted to get this one back in field and keep this game going. Floating it out the back for the Canadians. Now Nelson, quick hands, bounce pass, nicely done on the outside to O'Leary. They've been told that they have to stop chasing after that for 21, that is Gallagher. And that one hasn't found touch. Canada now, another step from, this time it is going to be the number 23, Lloyd. Offloads. I think both of these sides are forgetting that they're playing next week with the pace that they have been playing at here. Now Gallagher, to the left-hand side again. Little cross kick attempted. Oh, little bit of limping there for Josiah Moore, and that's not going to help him. He's played that ball on the ground. The penalty does go the way of Fiji again. Looks like maybe a bit more cramp here for O'Leary. He's feeling that one. I don't think I've ever seen so many players cramping up in a game of rugby. It's that altitude factor we see there. A Fijian player down as well. Dealing with a bit of cramp too. Just the 10 seconds remaining now. And also another Fijian has gone down and back play as well. There's Kalaveti Ravovo. It's going to be the penalty now to Fiji. Looks like they will go for one last attack and crack. One last chance. Does go out. Into this one, whether it is a try or whether it is just the ball going out or a knock on, it will be the end of the game. Which I think both of these sides will be thoroughly happy about, as you do with a bit of a spell after the shift that they have put in. Even Canada, you know, they haven't played their best game of rugby at all, but they've still seemed to be really giving it their A game, or at least trying to get it going right till the final moment. Canada managing to rip that ball away. I think that might have been a forward pass there, but it will be play on. Kicked him behind from Nelson, who I believe wanted this one to curl towards the touchline. Fiji kick it out, and that is the end of this game. Fiji victorious 63-10, and they booked themselves the spot through to the final in the Pacific Nations Cup. How good there, Dan? I guess was good, 60 in it. Says Robert T there. You can see so many players at the moment dealing with a bit of fatigue. Fiji, they now have to regroup. They have to play next week up against the Japanese. For the Canadians, they have got their match coming around the corner up against the Tongans. And then also Samoa, they have the big game around the corner up against the Chileans. Try and book themselves a spot through to the World Cup. Thank you, commentator, says Corralo. No worries at all. And also Canada need to get some players in the big leagues. And Vanaka Mate says Super Cam. And there as well. But nonetheless, do thank you all very much for tuning in. That has concluded what has been another all-nighter of rugby commentary. We've got some more coming next week. Also throughout the week, we'll have a couple videos here and there going on to the channel as well. But thank you all very much for tuning in. And we will see you all for the next one.